Hello, everyone. Welcome to
All right.
the Nerd Ledger. Hi.
Salutations.
We are the nerds. I'm Cage. That's Chair over there. If
Chair.
you're
Yep.
watching,
Yep.
and yeah, we are back. We are back on a Thursday because yesterday I
A
worked late.
Thursday.
So
Yep.
but it gave us an opportunity to watch the two new episodes of the Bad Batch that dropped yesterday.
Yep.
So we can talk about those, and then episode 5, which we haven't talked about yet. So that's like pretty much the whole plan. There is some news we can quickly run through. Really, I wouldn't say it's the biggest thing, but the Crow trailer dropped today, and honestly, it wasn't terrible. Um, like like most things when you remake them, uh, you're gonna have to face the comparisons between it and the original always. Especially like with something like this, where like the fan base is so vitriolic to anything that has to do with Eric
Mm-hmm.
Draven when it isn't Brandon Lee, because Brandon Lee died during the filming of The Crow.
Mm-hmm.
So in a lot of people's minds, it's like he is that character, and no one can ever replace him, and no one should ever try. Um, which I think is kind of one dimensional thinking. That's like saying like Heath Ledger as the Joker, like no one should ever play the Joker again.
Mm.
Which I get, like it's a little different, but at the same time, it's like not. So, um, but yeah, the first like image of the character that came out looked really bad, bro. It looked like an advertisement for like people who need to call someone to get help with drug addiction. It was like the poster child for being a drug addict. That's what the first image reminded me of. But the trailer was actually pretty good. It paints the image that the movie is going to be incredibly violent. There's a lot of blood splatter and shit, and like it was pretty intense. So I think it's one of those things where it's like if you approach it from the kind of headspace that like it's gonna be its own movie and don't try to compare it to that one, like take it for what it is. I think a lot more people would enjoy it, but excuse me, I don't think people can get past
Yeah, dude. Allergies are so bad today. Like for those of you that don't live in California, the Central Valley, it is
that.
super duper windy. We're at the tail end of a big storm,
Yeah.
and man, dude, when the wind howls like this, like it spreads pollen everywhere, and it's super sunny, so all the plants are blooming and growing and stuff like that. So there's just it's no good, man. It's no good right now in the Bay Area if you don't respond well, don't deal with allergies well. And
Yeah.
also, I'm letting Cage talk a lot, because I don't know anything about The Crow. Didn't watch the original. I didn't even know what The Crow was until he started talking about it, like that a few episodes ago. And then yeah. So I'm just gonna let Cage talk because I don't have a dog, and it's not really a fight because I don't like dog fighting, but I don't have a dog in this walking competition. And so
Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, you can think about it in regards to everything, right? I mean, people compare things that are unlike just because they have similar names, right? Like obviously, like the new Dune movies, people are gonna always compare to the 1984 Dune movie, which I mean, maybe it makes them look better. I don't know, but like there's always going to be that comparison. Just like every Avatar live action adaptation or even continuation, Legend of Korra, whatever, that's always going to be compared to the
yep,
original, The Last Avatar, The Last Airbender, and then like. Bro, the Rings of Power is always going to be compared to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit was always going to be compared to the original Lord of the Rings films. Like, that's just what people do. Like we always are going to compare something new that either takes place in the same world as something before or is a remake of that thing or is an adaptation of that
yeah,
thing, and we're always going to compare. And I guess a better example for Dune isn't the movie but the book, right? Like you're always going to
yeah,
compare these new movies to back to the book. You're always going to compare Lord of the Rings and the Rings of Power to what's in the books, like and a lot of that is like you can accept that there will be changes and you can accept that it won't necessarily be the thing you fell in love with, but you shouldn't then say it's bad because it's not that thing, right? Like an
Yeah.
adaptation of something is never going to be that thing. You're never going to experience watching Dune the way you experienced reading Dune, and that's okay. Like that's not a bad thing, right? It's like just you can rattle off all the things that people have a problem with in the Lord of the Rings adaptations, which are largely regarded as some of the most successful movies, right? Like a huge blockbuster, hugely regarded as one of the best book to film adaptations there is. There are a lot of changes in there, and there's a lot of people that have problems with those changes, including changes to Aragorn, including Legolas being made into a superhero, including Gimli being kind of a dumbass buffoon comedy relief character. Like these are all massive changes to the characters and their cores, but at the same time, they work, right? Like it's not a bad thing. So this Crow
Yeah.
remake, it's gonna be different, and that doesn't mean that they're bastardizing it. Maybe they are, right? Once you see the movie, you can get and say, okay, yeah, it's a bad movie plus all these other things, right? I mean, because there are some things that are just genuinely bad, right? Like Morbius isn't bad just because Spider-Man isn't in it, which is what a lot of people would argue is like, well, and I argue is like, I don't know why we care about these Sony, Marvel villain movies that are Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man. Like I believe that, but that doesn't mean they can't make a good movie without I mean, the first Venom movie was decent and there was no Spider-Man in it, but my argument's still the same. It makes you care less because Spider-Man's not in it. So there's always going to be these things, but like I think genuinely at the end of the day, as long as the product is good, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
personally, I ignore all the noise of like people getting mad and like because that's just what people do. People get mad about everything. And yeah, it's not. He's not Eric Draven. This is not Mike Crow. Fuck this movie. Fuck the people who made it. They should all go to hell. People should die because I don't agree with them. Fuck off, bro. Like just if you don't, if you're upset they're remaking it, just live your life. Enjoy the things you enjoy. Put your energy
Yeah.
into things that you like. Don't put your energy into things you don't like. It doesn't do anything for anyone. So.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I did read an article today about Joss Whedon
Mm.
because
Oh boy.
Joss Whedon was I mean he's pretty much properly canceled, right?
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen him since the whole cancel culture thing and all that shit that happened and stuff that came out from the Justice League stuff with Ray Fisher and all that stuff. Like he's probably like just not involved in Hollywood anymore, or if he is, he's just not credited for ghostwriting or revising scripts or whatever, which is what he used to do for a lot of things. Um,
Mm.
but like the article was more or less saying, despite all of his issues, like we wouldn't have television or even films today the way we have them without his influence.
Mm.
Um, and it really pointed to like a lot of his stories are about characters who are heroes, who then become villains, who then become saviors, and like have these full arcs because people are not one dimensional. People are very complex. People do good things. People do bad things. People make mistakes. People recover. People become better. And it was kind of like doing like this character study of some of the works he's done, including like a lot of like formed families, like not like real families, but like dysfunctional families of people that you would never expect to be together. And it even referenced one of the things that he's lesser known for, but one of the most popular things that he has done, which is Toy Story, right? Joss Whedon wrote Toy Story, which a lot of people don't know. And if he didn't write it himself, he contributed a lot to it. But like Buzz and Woody, right? Two characters that
Yeah.
have no business being friends, but they are. And he has that throughout a lot of his work, right? Where it's just like kind of like a ragtag band of things and whatever. And like they were just saying like kind of a lot about like you see these kind of things that he started or like, and they're not his ideas. These aren't new ideas, but like he pushed them into the mainstream starting in like the early 2000s or late 90s, and now you see that everywhere. And then he's all not only that, but like he made serialized television before The Sopranos, right? Like before Joss Whedon had like overarching arcs in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like where you'd have like one main bad guy for a whole season arc. Like that didn't exist before that. You would just have your flavor of the week, villain of the week kind of shit in all of television. Everything was very episodic because people didn't necessarily have time to watch every episode of everything every week, right? Until TV became very serialized, and Joss Whedon kind of led the charge for TV with that, and then Sopranos later, but Joss Whedon did it for the masses. And then you look at like how superhero movies are now and what people want, and he did the Avengers movie, right? Like that's if the Avengers movie never happened, you wouldn't have people with these high demands for like all these cameos and cross and all this stuff. And it's because Joss Whedon approached it in a way of like, well, these characters like all in a room have massive egos, like they're not gonna just get along. And so like that's what really endeared, I think, the Avengers to a lot of people is like it wasn't forced, right? Like they had to earn their right to be a team. And so it was kind of exploring
And the
all
movie
those
was good,
ideas.
so there's that too.
Yeah, it was just exploring all those ideas of like, even though Joss Whedon is gone from the mainstream and like we don't see him and he's properly canceled, like his influence is everywhere in the media we consume today. And so I just thought that was interesting because like it, it's just an interesting thing to think about. I don't know where I was going with it, but it was an interesting
Well, too,
article.
and he's probably made enough money where he can probably retire happily. The thing is, though, he probably still wants to be relevant. That's something that
Well,
everybody always wants. But
I mean, the thing is like if Joss Whedon really wanted to, he could come back. Like it's not like he's completely blacklisted, bro. Like James Gunn was blacklisted for like a year, and then he came back. I think the biggest difference between Joss Whedon and James Gunn though is like James Gunn had a lot of people advocating for him. Like literally, like the entire cast of Guardians of the Galaxy said, "We're not doing another movie without him. Like rip up our contracts." And that's what really got Marvel to bring him back, and they kind of realized like this is kind of just a Twitter thing. Like most people don't actually give a shit, right? And it's the same with Joss Whedon. Like I guarantee you, the masses don't fucking give a shit. Like most people, I can't say most people, but at least for me, I assume that most people in Hollywood are terrible people. But I don't care about their lives and how they're hypocrites and they make great feminist shows, but like they're really pieces of shit that aren't feminists at all. Bro, I don't care what you do in your personal life, like as long as it's not like incredibly illegal. But like if you make good content, people will consume good content. And so that's just kind of how I look at it because a lot let's be honest, like a lot of these people in Hollywood are just scummy people. So I have no doubt that if Joss Whedon really wanted to, he could come back easily. And he probably is, like, let's be honest, he probably is writing or revising scripts or just selling off his stuff to other people to produce.
yeah, doing
Like,
something.
yeah, so.
Or he's just resting on his laurels. Like he's probably he probably has other other sources of income, and hopefully he has a few properties by now. So
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure he does. But, yeah. Anyway, there was some other news. I mean, like the Batman 2 got delayed like a year.
I saw that and it made me sad. Now it's coming out in 2026, right? Not 2025.
Yeah, got pushed back a whole year. Um, James Marsden is like teasing a cameo on Deadpool and Wolverine. If anyone cares about that,
Mm.
I don't care.
Star Wars gaming news. That Star Wars Smuggler game or whatever. It had
Uh,
a 6-minute trailer. It looked pretty good, and it's getting some NVIDIA.
I had a
Big
6 minute
support for
trailer.
NVIDIA.
Was it in engine or is it like a
Yeah, it was
cinematic?
in engine, so it looked pretty good, and it
Okay.
looked really good. It was pretty canned, like a lot of those in like things in game things are, but it still looked great. So
Hmm.
it's just hopefully they just make it work, and hopefully they have some really fun game mechanics in it, and hopefully they just have like a fun gameplay loop, and yeah, and hopefully the story's good, like really good, like Rockstar level good. But I don't expect that. So, dude,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
oh
also,
man, Rockstar Red Dead 2. If you never played it, dude, oh man, that never cried that hard my entire life.
hmm. Yeah, even Patty Jenkins is coming back for the Rogue Squadron movie. I guess she's working on writing it. Like that was a thing that was like announced like many years ago
Yep.
that like
I
then
just
they
bought
said
those
wasn't
books too,
happening.
and
And
it's how funny. I
yeah,
just got them. X-Wing novels. If you never read them, I actually like read a few chapters of the first one. It's actually pretty fun, so I'll probably keep reading it.
yeah. There's a new Netflix movie that my wife watched and made me watch with her. It's called Damsel. Uh,
Oh
did you watch it?
no.
Uh, so it has Millie Bobby Brown in it, and
Uh-huh.
bro, like the movie just spent their entire budget on this cool looking dragon, and the dragon did look really cool. Um, it's a stupid fucking movie. Like it is. The movie could have been literally 30 minutes long. They milked the shit out of this movie just because like it's one of the most infuriating things for me. Where like like TV shows sometimes like if two characters just talk to each other, there would be no conflict. But for some reason, they refuse to talk to each other, and
Yeah.
it just like it creates this false conflict. And literally, like part of like the premise of the movie, without spoiling it, um, is like these people did this bad thing, and now they have to give sacrifices to live in peace, pretty much. But they've been like deceiving and giving false sacrifices, and instead and the person realizes that like immediately and just doesn't say anything until like the last 5 minutes of the movie. I'm like, just fucking you could have avoided all this. Just fucking tell this, fucking just say it
Yep. Say it. Say it.
like
Do it. Do it.
yeah, do it. So yeah, it wasn't a terrible movie. It was just it's just one of those things. And like this, like when are you gonna open your mouth and say the thing, man?
Yeah.
So anyway, the Bad Batch.
The
The Bad
Bad
Batch.
Batch.
Yeah,
Batch that is bad.
yeah. So episode five. So picking up where we left off, episode 4 ends right. Omega and Crosshair escaped. They
Mhm.
escaped Tantus and they meet up. They rendezvous, as they like to say, with Hunter and Reke. And then the episode ends. And in this episode, we get some resolution to some things, I suppose. But episode 5 is called The Return, obviously, because they returned.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, essentially, the description of the episode is tensions rise as our heroes navigate new dynamics on a dangerous mission. And this was a pretty decent episode. Was pretty decent. But it wasn't like amazing. You know what I'm saying? It was all right. You know what I'm saying? It was okay. Like I feel like some of these episodes, like they're enough to keep you watching, but they're not like they don't make you go, holy shit, what an episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. This episode is actually incredibly boring for me. Um,
I mean, and
this is very
again,
predictable. You had to have a way for Crosshair to get reintroduced to the squad, and obviously you don't want to do this. It's not a kids show anymore, right? Like it's evolved a little bit past that. It's a little bit more dramatic than that at times.
yeah,
So, um, they can't just be like, "Oh, welcome back to the squad, Crosshair." They need to have the episode where Crosshair like warms back up to everybody in the squad, and everybody comes to accept him and like him again. And they wanted to show a change in Crosshair, and they made his expressions a lot more soft and a lot more gentle, and made him seem like a lot more scared and stuff like that. And that's all cool and stuff, but I don't
yeah.
know. This episode is really predictable for
I mean,
me personally.
he clearly has regrets, right? And like they kind of build that through the episode of like he has regrets, but also like he still has this inner pride and they all have this inner pride. And again, it kind of is a false conflict in a way because like if they just sat down and talked, at least they could resolve something. But like Hunter and Crosshair just didn't want to really talk to each other until like obviously like something bad's about to happen, so now they have to talk, right? Um, so like they go like to this planet to like try to decrypt the fucking data pad, the fucking what's her name? She fucking you know her name. What's her name? Nala Say. They try to decrypt Nala Say's data pad. So they go
Yep.
to Barton 4, which is where Crosshair was stationed when he shot the Imperial officer. Um, and like there's like these sensors that are preventing this giant fucking massacre worm from eating everyone. But they don't know that, so like they shut all the power off and reroute it to get enough power to decrypt the pad, and then obviously the worm comes. But before that, like Crosshair's going to go check it out, and Hunter goes out there and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Crosshair?" And Crosshair's like, yeah. And then he's like, and then Crosshair's like, "I shot an Imperial officer," and then Hunter's like, blah 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 blah, and then the worm attacks, and they have to team up, and all this shit, and save the day, and the mission's successful, and then like I said, they built up this whole thing about Crosshair having these regrets, and he tells Hunter at the end of the episode, he's like, "Yeah, like I have a lot of regrets over what happened, and like this whole portrayal thing, like whatever." But and then Hunter pretty much said like, "Yeah, we all have regrets, even I have regrets, but it's about just doing better," which is something that I preach all the time, right? Like that's what life is about. It's just about learning and just doing better and being better. So that's really what this episode is about. It's kind of just squashing the beef with a giant worm.
Yep.
So, but yeah, you said you were incredibly bored by that episode. You said. So.
Yeah, I felt like filler. Just I knew like again, like they had to reintroduce Crosshair to the squad. They had to give him an episode to show those personalities changed at least a little bit. Like you said, maybe not as dramatically as I'm implying, but it has changed.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he is back with the squad. Everybody likes him again, and he's like displayed that his more gentle personality. So, yeah, yeah.
Yep. So episode 6 is called Infiltration. And it's the 6th episode. So this episode was a little more interesting, I think. Because we're dealing here with like these like this like specialized troops, I guess, that are like actually clones that like Crosshair could have been a part of, but like he didn't, he resisted and all that shit, and now obviously he escaped. And these specialized troopers, like they're after Omega, but they were also after, was he a senator? Senator Singh.
Something like that.
Yeah. And so ultimately, the Bad Batch has to go meet up with Rex and his crew, and they're like, "Oh shit, no, I stopped the recording."
Ruh-roh. If you're live, don't worry. There's nothing impacting you. But if you're on a podcast, you can never hear this ever again. It's a voice clip.
No, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen is, I'm gonna let the recording be stopped, and after this is ended, I have to go to Twitch and I have to download the VOD and then do all the work on the back end. So.
Oh, well, that sucks to be you.
It happens.
Yep.
But yeah, so they meet up with Rex's crew, and Hauser's very suspicious of Crosshair. He's like, "Yo, Crosshair, you're a bitch ass." Crosshair's just like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck." And so. Really, there's not much to this episode. It's just like, hey, we got this guy prisoner, and we don't trust you, and we're trying to find where Tantus is, and yeah, that's pretty much the whole episode until the fucking guy attacks.
Yep.
And then the whole building burns down.
When we say fuck the guy, by the way, this entire episode has like this badass clone special forces black ops, like you fucking my unit doesn't exist and I'm above your pay grade soldier thing going on. So nobody he's pretty badass, not gonna lie. But that's so it's funny because like they capture this dude. And then, like, he just,
Yeah, and he's like, "Crosshair's one of us."
Yeah.
He's like trying to sow seeds of doubt. I was like, bro, Hauser already doesn't trust him, bro. What are you doing? So
Yeah.
because they feel like Crosshair is hiding stuff, which like he's not really telling them everything, obviously, like for some reason, but like he does eventually kind of like tell him like, yo, like there's a lot of fucky shit happening like on fucking Tantus, yo. It's a lot of fucky shit. So
Yeah.
but yeah, ultimately this fucking Black Ops fucking guy, just he murders the other Black Ops guy that was prisoner, and then just like starts attacking, and then the building, the spire blows up and all that shit. Um, and so that leads us into really what I guess is like a part two of this, which is why they dropped both episodes in the same day.
Yep.
Which is called Extraction. It is not. It is not a game of Escape from Tarkov. It is an episode of the Bad Batch.
Nope. Yep.
Um,
That badass clone commando goes like full badass mode and like escapes the prison, breaks out of prison, and freaking blows everything up and calls in the Empire. And
no, that guy wasn't in
I don't know.
prison. That was
No,
the other guy.
I thought like,
The guy in prison
okay.
was shot by him.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah. But yeah. He does.
Didn't the guy in prison? I could have sworn he like put out a call or something.
No,
Like
no.
that's
It was the
that's
other guy. So
okay.
there were like two of those like special forces agents, but one was
Mhm.
like his mission was to kill the one in prison, because like if you get captured you're supposed to die, like you're supposed to kill yourself,
Mhm.
right? But they like remove like the capsule or whatever from his mouth or some
Yeah,
shit.
his electric tooth. That's right. I remember
Yeah,
now.
so he couldn't do that, but like they had the special forces guy had tracked him there. And listen, I don't know how, but in Star Wars if there's a forest, bro, they always find the exact clear path to land a fucking spaceship inside the middle of the forest. I don't know. I don't know what forests exist in Star Wars, but there's always forests in Star Wars that have like some weird spare city between the trees where it's not
Well, it's
dense and they can just park their ships
called the
there.
Grove. Called Grove. They do tend to happen sometimes. Maybe some kind of event led to like
But
that
it's
spot
every
being cleared.
time. It's every time. It's
Yeah, I
every.
know, but like
They
just
always
like
park in a forest in Star Wars, like perfectly.
yeah, yeah. Gotta find a good landing zone.
Yeah. So yeah, the other special forces guy parks his ship in the forest,
Yep.
and then he like infiltrates the base, and he's like, yeah, the guy's here. I'm gonna kill him, but Omega's also here, and she's our prime target. So like, send in some more forces, guys. We're
Yep.
gonna fuck this shit up. Yeah, and then like when they were questioning the other special forces guy, like when they were done, the doors opened, and he shot through it and killed him. And that's what
Yep.
started like the fight, which led to like the grenades, the thermal detonators and shit falling, which then got like superheated and exploded, and then the spire got destroyed and shit. Um, and so yeah, that's what I mean. In this episode, they're escaping, and they're being pursued by the other special agent guy and also like a bunch of other clones. And yeah, the leader of the clones is like, "You're out of line." And the
Yeah.
special forces guy just doesn't say anything. He just keeps doing whatever the fuck he wants the entire time. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, then Rex and in the Bad Batch, they escape, and they're like traveling through the forest. And there's one part where Crosshair's like talking to Omega, and then uh, Hauser, who was like giving him shit the previous episode, he was like, yo, I see like how you are with that kid, and uh like it's not the same as when I met you on Ryloth, like when you were like evil as fuck, you know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
he's like, like he pretty much like asked him what what happened, like what changed you. And Crosshair said something that doesn't come to mind, but when I heard it, it was really impactful because there was a lot behind it.
Mm.
Um, I don't remember what he said. What did he say? Do you remember what he said?
No.
Well, okay. Hold on, let me see if I can find it because it was really, I really liked what he said. I liked what he said.
Yeah,
Um,
no problem. Still got a bit of time, so
uh, Bro, they have like no synopsis of this shit. It's really annoying. Um, Yeah, I don't remember what he said, but it was very clear like that like there's a lot behind like the pain of Crosshair because like he has to live with the fact that like he betrayed his squad because he thought he was doing the right thing. Um and then like he had to come to terms with the fact that like he's loyal to the Empire, but at the same time the Empire don't give a shit about him.
Yep.
Um and then he said something to the effect of like the loyalty that he gave to the Empire wasn't reciprocated or something like that.
Mm.
Which like the deeper part to that really is that like Omega showed him that loyalty, right? Which is
Yeah.
why like he's so much more like endearing to her now because
Yeah.
like he could have just you know like it meant something to him despite the fact that he told her like you shouldn't care about me, like leave me behind or whatever. Like she showed him the thing that like clearly means the most to him, and he always thought he was being loyal and a good soldier, but like he didn't realize who the Empire is, right?
Yeah.
And then another thing is when Crosshair was fighting the Special Forces guy, like in the water, um, and the Special Forces guy. This was the initial reason I thought about that Joss Whedon interview, is because
Mm.
when the Special Forces guy, not interview but article, when the Special Forces guy was like choking him, and he was saying you chose the wrong side, right? It reminded me
Mm.
of the line in Firefly where like a government officer said that to Captain Malcolm Reynolds. He said you chose the wrong side, and he says I may have chose the losing side. I'm still not sure it was the wrong side.
Yeah.
And like and it applies here too. Like I half expected Crosshair to say something to that effect, but obviously he was like choking underwater. Uh, but like because it's true, and even at the end of the episode, Hunter is telling Rex, he's like, "Bruh, like we can't defeat the Empire. Like we can't. There's nothing we can actually do." And that is often it is often the case where the right side is the losing side. Like because sometimes it's easier to do nothing than it is to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, you can look at the real world for examples of that and human history for examples of that. And I mean, it exists, I mean, in all these stories, these underdog stories. And that's where, like, that's what made me think of that interview is because, like, when it talks about Joss Whedon's influence, I mean, it's it's still prevalent, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was very interesting to me because like it made me really think like what despite everything, right? The Bad Batch, these clones, Rex, and all these other guys, like they're still going to fight, even though they know they're probably not going to win.
Yeah.
And that I think that means something. And then obviously, the big like reveal, I guess, was like the clone leader for the bad guys was Wolf, who's like another clone from the Clone Wars and all that shit. And he had thought Rex died, and
Yeah.
Rex had thought he died, and they're like, "What the fuck, guys? Oh my, holy shit!" And then he just let him go because Rex kind of like was like, "Bro, like, Leia, like, you might think the Empire is doing the right, like they're the good guys and we're the bad guys right now, but you're the one hunting a fucking child,
Yeah.
like because the Empire told you to, right?" And it's like, there's still like this thing of like some clones don't think for themselves, like they don't question orders. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're being good soldiers, which is why they're being utilized by the Empire. But they're going to be replaced ultimately by people who are conditioned to take orders like better and who can perform better even though they can't hit targets. Um, but which is really interesting too to like the little tiny details in episodes like this where like you see the clones in like stormtroopers working together, right? Like it's not all clones there were also stormtroopers, and most of the stormtroopers were killed. None of the clones were killed. All
Yeah.
the stormtroopers were killed, but stunned. But yeah, I thought episode was pretty good.
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if I consider it to be like good per se, because I just don't. I don't know. Like the clones like loyalty like is so back and forth and push and pull, like how some of them are just like, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like picky and choosy at this point, and I found that to be very weak, you know. That's just me personally. Like, I just think that like this chip does work, it doesn't work. What does the chip allow them to do? It seems to be very convenient for whatever is happening in the plot, and for whenever they can pick to just like, disobey the Empire, disobey orders. When he let him walk away, I was like, all these clones are supposed to be like basically like programmed now with the biochips and everything like that. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, because at that last in the last episode of the last
but
season or whatever, like, like they were barely being able to restrain themselves from gunning down like Ahsoka as soon as they saw her, like barely, just barely, only because like there was another clone there who's like talking to them, and
yeah, I mean,
I don't
and
know.
eventually, I think well, most of the chips either like stop working or like are removed. And I know like later in Rebels we see Rex with Wolf,
Yeah,
and I believe he removed. Like they mentioned that the chip was removed, but Wolf did report the rebels to the Empire
yeah,
when Kanan and Ezra and them showed up. Like he did report it, and
yeah,
then he realized the error of his ways. But like like that's still there even then, and you have to think about how much further along that is than where we are here. I mean, that's what 4, 5, 6 years down the line or something. So
yeah.
or longer, 15, 15 years maybe, like quite a bit longer. Because Kanan is like a child still during this, because we saw him, and so it's got to be like 20 years after that. Can't be that long, because that's like right before the ruin of the Empire. I don't know, bro. These
Yeah,
timelines are fucky.
I don't.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. The problem I have, like, what's going on when, like, like, I guess she was only at the facility for a few months. It seemed like she was there for like a year or like two. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Like they did make it seem like she was there for at least like a year, but no, it's only been like a couple months. So
Mm,
yeah, it is very odd. It is very odd, but I don't know. I think obviously the show has everything it needs to succeed. Like it's animated very well. The music and sound editing is very good, and a lot of the writing is decent, but it's not like perfect. But you can see what like the elements of Star Wars that are there, and like the obviously like the influence of people like Dave Filoni in works like this. So also, I have another theory.
mm,
Right? So tech. Okay, I think this is a bad theory. I'm just gonna say
mm,
that first, but it is something I thought of and then quickly thought of reasons why it would be wrong. But tech supposedly died last season.
yeah.
Spoiler warning. But I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
he maybe if he comes back he'll be a clone. But then I was like,
Mm,
but all clones are clones of, like they're all clones. Um,
yep.
and then I was thinking maybe Project Necromancer brings him back, right?
Maybe.
Because that would be a thing that would make sense. And then the other reason why they can't clone him is because like he died. Like if he actually did die, like the cells would also be dead. So I don't think you could clone him at that point, right? Like
No
they'd be
idea.
too degenerative. So uh, that theory was wrong. But Project Necromancer makes sense. I mean, how many more episodes of this are there? Like there's like 16 total, so like 11, and that's a lot of episodes. There's no way
Yeah, there's a
there's.
lot of
Is there 16
16.
episodes?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
Hold on,
That's
I'll
you
check.
saying that. That's you saying that. That's not me.
Oh, there's 15. So yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes left. We've only had 7 episodes, so there's still more than half the season left. And so we have to figure out, I guess, what's going to happen with Tick, because let's be honest, we all know he's coming back, and we know Asajj Ventress is somewhere in the season. So there's a lot of opportunities for things to happen, and hopefully things get better and get tied in. But I'm happy with a Crosshair redemption arc, to be honest.
Yep.
Because in season 1, I thought Crosshair was really cool, but you could kind of tell he was going to be bad, and then I was very sad when he left them because I was like, man, Crosshair had so much opportunity and so much potential to be like really fucking cool. And
Yep.
so I'm glad he's being cool again.
Yeah, Crosshair is probably the most badass out of all of them, so I would imagine, he's got his redemption arc coming. I'm sure he'll be fine. And excited to see where the season goes. Like I said, this has been a lot of filler so far, so hopefully there'll be something like just more crazy, more really crazy down the line. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and they
But
have to properly like tie the stories together, right? Like all
yeah.
these things have to come to a head somewhere, including like these senators that just seem so useless to me. I don't know why they're even in the episode, other than like
Yeah.
they didn't have to be in the episode for them to be like, hey, people want to kidnap senators.
Yeah.
But I guess there has to be a reason why they want to kidnap Senator Singh. So
Yeah. Well, eventually he just dissolves the Galactic Senate, right? So I don't even know like why the frickin' spoilers, by the way.
yeah, but that's not
But
until A New Hope.
yeah.
Like there
That's in
still
like
is a
10
Senate,
years or
but that's gotta be like probably like 18 or 19 years from this point, right?
mm,
That's a
I
long
don't know.
time from now. I mean, because the
Yeah,
Galactic
like you said,
Senate,
the timelines are all messed up.
yeah, because the Galactic Senate like heavily was pushing back against the Death Star, and then they're like, well, no one's gonna oppose us now, bitches. And
Mm.
then then he dissolves the Senate anyway,
Yeah.
and and yeah, so
Fear of this battle station.
yeah, fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear of this battle station. Yeah, so but yeah, I think that also is like just kind of shows like the plan of the Empire and how devious they were, right, as well, because these are stories that like we haven't fully gotten before, but even like it kind of treads the same path a lot as Andor, and so
Mm.
I don't know, but I just want to watch Andor again now.
Yeah.
I think they just released
Like,
like the Blu-ray of it, but it's still on Disney Plus, so I don't need to buy no shit.
yeah.
And yeah, season 2 will be coming out eventually, one day,
Eventually, at some
hopefully.
point. Not soon. Not soon enough, though.
Not soon enough, absolutely. So, but yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about the episodes. So, do you have anything else to say about the episodes?
No, not specifically. Like I said, I guess I was just a little bored. Because I didn't really, the one episode where Crosshair had to get redeemed was really predictable to me. Um, not redeemed, but like, just get integrated back into the team in a way
Yeah,
that
be
felt organic
accepted
and that wasn't
back.
just,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's that, and then those two episodes, like the action was cool and stuff like that. But also, and the commandos are bad, but I don't know, like it's just like, oh, we're all clones, we all hate each other, but we all like each other, but we all hate each other, but we all like each other. Well, we like the Empire, we don't like the Empire. Like it's just I don't know,
Yeah.
but it makes me a little confused over time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and bro, the Empire's like cycling out of clones is so slow.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy that there's actually clones still working for them, because I figured they would have cycled all those out like how they were doing last season, and like all the
Mm.
remaining ones are the ones that they experiment with. Like they just lock them all up in Tantus and they experiment on them. But like they like how can you how can you have like this like secret base where you're experimenting on clones and then still just have a bunch of clone commanders? Like bro, Wolf is like leading an entire commando squad.
Yeah.
And it's like you would think that the Empire would put their guys on that, like, and only their guys, and not like clones like that are maybe or maybe not subjected to being loyal or unloyal, you know. So there's kind of some things you can think about, like poking holes in there, I guess. But
Yeah.
anyway, you got anything you wanna say? You wanna get off your chest? You wanna express? I've talked a lot, you know. Maybe you wanna talk a lot. Maybe.
No, I'm not much of a talkative guy these days. Is my problem.
Eh,
Let's see. I'm gonna actually making a swing at my wiring, rewire my whole computer and try and make it like a better wire, do a better cable job, so it looks all nice. I'm gonna really try and do that. Try to get some tools for that. And yeah, and I got the right power supply. For those of you that didn't know my little computer store, I'm not sure if I talked about this. I ordered a power supply, but there's two types of power supplies now. I didn't realize that because I'm dumb and I didn't check. I didn't do any research. I just assumed that it stayed the same over time. There's one for like, micro PC builds. I don't know if there's like these PC builds that are super compact and like, everything fits together. Like the video card is holding a certain, it's
it's
basically
probably
built
no
around the
video
video
card.
card.
It's just integrated graphics.
No, 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 with a video, no, with a video card, but like the case is built
Really?
around the case has barely just enough room for the video card, and everything else like it's tucked into other parts. Like it has to have a specialized
Well,
motherboard too. So
yeah, because
it's all
yeah,
kind
that like it has to have like
it,
a motherboard that like is like
y-
shaped or something.
yeah, no, it's like really it's kind of like more of a rectangle than a square. But yeah. Anyway,
Huh.
other than that though, but I ordered the wrong one, and now my like I managed to get some wire extensions that can plug into my motherboard, but now the wires are mismatched in color and they don't look the same, and I've heard there's a hole in the back of my computer because it doesn't match out the mounting properly. So I did the adult thing and ordered the right power supply, and I'll probably resell this one on like Facebook Marketplace or something like that, and try and cop some of my cash back.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to try and really do a good wiring job this time and make it like really look nice. And
Hmm.
then I'm gonna mount some more fans on it, go up from 2 fans to 4 fans, like, just increase the airflow before the summer starts. Because I have I just, with the new video card, I have to make sure that the airflow is like really tight because this thing runs hot because it's like a really powerful video card. So,
Hmm. Can you up the
yeah.
fans of our podcast too?
No, I can't do that. No, no, unfortunately,
You
they
can't
won't
just
listen.
walk around town and spread the word.
No,
Go down to the boardwalk and just post flyers on all the windows.
yeah, won't let me. Sorry.
Hmm. But you're you, bro. You practically own the place.
No, I don't own the place. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I was thinking about it recently because I think I told you, maybe not, but I applied for a second job as a
Yep.
marina aide here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I got an interview, but they haven't sent me like the schedule yet for like picking a date
Mm.
to be interviewed. But I was thinking about like what I would talk about in the interview because like that's like experience like working at a yacht harbor that like I never thought would ever be relevant again. Like I would never have to talk about. Um,
Yeah.
and obviously like this position is more for like you know being like a dock attendant than anything else. I'm sure. Like
Yeah.
same thing like working the pump out, working the gas dock, working like stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like minor repairs, right? Replacing cleats and shit. I'm sure, but um,
Those
like
are the days.
yeah. One of the things I was thinking about is like if they ask me like why I left or whatever, like it's like one of those things where it's just like,
Yeah, don't just start ripping the harbor a new asshole if they ask you that. Like, just say like,
well,
oh,
what I
I
would
had to
say,
move.
I would tell them the honest truth
Say,
though.
oh my
Like
God. See, if you
for
tell them
me,
that though, they might not want to.
no. So essentially, I don't even know if you fully know, but I'm pretty sure you do. But like, essentially, what happened was I was trying to I was taking on more and more responsibility all the time,
Mm.
and I didn't feel like I was being properly compensated for it, and so I was like, is there any way to get compensated for it, or like is there a future here? Like I straight up asked the guy, not the harbor master, but the guy above him. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to say his name, but
Yeah.
I had straight up asked him like, what is the future here? Is there an opportunity? And he straight up told me no, and you're almost capped out where you are, so there's nothing we can do for you.
Yeah.
Uh, And so that's really the reason I left. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, honestly, I could have run that place. Like I
Yeah.
could, like, I don't know anything that was going on above me that I wasn't doing or that I
Yeah.
couldn't do. And so, like, I feel super confident, like, and getting this position is not, it won't be difficult, and it's like perfect for me. It's like they should have sent an email. They're like, don't, like, if they're like, you qualify for an interview, we want to interview you, but be aware of these things and let me know if you still want to interview after reading it. And it's like, it's literally like my list: part-time, evenings, nights, weekends, holidays, and 8 to 15 hours a week. Perfect. Like, that's exactly what I need. Like, because obviously I have a full-time job, bro, and like even now, like, I'm still working during this podcast. I'm responding to emails and shit. So,
It's all
um,
good. No worries.
like, so yeah, but yeah, I was just thinking about stuff like that, like, because like obviously like the harbor has a lot of bad memories, but it also has a lot of good memories, right? And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. Like, just gotta take it both as they come. And I kind of wish I didn't go back to the harbor when I did, and I would have stayed away. But it is what
yeah,
it is, and that kind of spoiled a lot of the good memories for me. But I just gotta, focus on what I can control. So.
yeah. But I'm proud of you too, because you're one of the only people there that actually fought, like, for yourself, like,
Mm,
stood in your own corner. Like, a lot of people there were just like, would get mad and like but they wouldn't actually back themselves. They wouldn't actually like follow through. And like, you straight up followed through with like, yo, if you don't, essentially, if you don't show me the value I'm giving to you, then
hmm
I'm gone. And they didn't, and then you left, and then you came back and they did.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's important. But yeah, yeah. I mean, we if it wasn't for the harbor, I mean, you and I wouldn't be here right now doing this because we would never met.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's when we met. And this is when we met.
yeah. But anyway, we've eaten enough time. You can. Are you PvPing tonight?
No, it's not PvP. We're actually doing Star Wars Dungeons of all things.
Oh, interesting. What is that? Is that like roleplay?
No, it's like a
Oh.
like World of Warcraft has like dungeons where you go into and you get like gear, right?
Oh,
That's just
so it's like
it's just
is
like
it
that,
a
but in
raid?
that no, but it's like with 5 people. It's like 8 people.
Oh,
It's yeah, we're just getting going into the Star Wars dungeons like it's like Star Wars dungeons.
all right. That's cool, I guess. But what
Yep,
time is
in my
that?
guild.
Is that now or is that at 7? Or is it whenever?
It's in 6 minutes.
Okay.
So
Excellent. Perfect
yeah.
timing. Unless you need to eat.
Yes,
I need to
sir.
eat, so.
No. Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk to you later, dude.
Yep.
Wait, are we still on the internet?
We are, yeah. We are.
Oh yeah, take me off the internet first. What the?
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Much love. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, just bye.